Messier Mantra. I'm your host, Mike Messier. Before we introduce my guest on this episode, I want to share some of her photography, some of her modeling, acting, and pageant winner photographs. So let's check them out right here on Messier Mantra. Welcome back to Messier Mantra. You just saw some photographs of this episode's guest, a very beautiful and talented lady, hardworking too.
Thank you.
Now, we had a little joke that I'm having trouble with your name because we've known you for 3 or 4 years.
I will introduce myself. That's
Please
fine.
do, yes.
My name is NAIRA ZAKARYAN.
NAIRA ZAKARYAN.
Easy.
Close.
Right,
I didn't quite get it.
Easy.
It's funny because I can hear you say it correctly, but then when I say it, I jumble
you
it up.
hear it wrong because it is wrong.
But you know, and what type of name is that? NAIRA?
It's an Armenian name.
Okay, great.
I'm Armenian born.
Armenian, okay.
Yeah.
Are you 100% Armenian, or is there different cultures mixed in? Or?
As far as I know, I am 100% Armenian. Yes, I am.
That's great.
My parents are Armenian, so that must make me Armenian.
Now, are you first generation? Did you move here from Armenia when?
Oh no, I made quite a journey before I reached United States. So we've lived for a little bit in Russia. I was born in Georgia, actually, Republic of Georgia, and then we moved to Russia, and then from there we got here. So, yeah.
I'm sure it's a very interesting story, your family and just moving. And is there any parts of that still resonates with you now as you're making your way in life and your career?
Yes, certainly. I mean, I've been exposed to so many cultures, and at some point it was a little bit confusing, to be honest, growing up, to figure out who do you belong and which rules do you follow, because Russian culture is very different from Armenian culture, and the culture in the United States is obviously also very different from all the above. So, but, you know, as you figure out your way through life, you certainly come up with your own identity that does not necessarily belong to Armenians, Russians, or Americans. It's just your own thing that brings all these cultures and influences into one. And I learned to appreciate that over time.
That's great.
Once the struggle was over.
And when you say the struggle, was that just to find residence, to set up shop, to what do you mean?
No, the identity.
The identity,
the identity.
Mental identity.
Exactly. Trying to figure out who do you belong, which rules do you follow, because from culture to culture, there are differences in terms of, you know, just cultural differences, and ethically and culturally, things are very different when you speak of Russians versus Armenians versus, you know, being here. So Armenians are very conservative.
Right.
And do I follow conservative rules of the Armenian culture, or do I follow more liberal rules of the Russian culture? So I adapted both, wherever fits. So.
And it's interesting that you would use the term liberal rules in Russian culture, because for most Americans, we don't think of Russians in a liberal sense, you know. But we're going through, well, look at us. I mean, you know, our country now with the politics is so divided, and I wonder what other countries think what's going on over here, and even what we think of ourselves. It's all up for grabs.
Right, it's true.
The world is changing so quickly.
Yeah, I guess life is just a moving target, right? All over.
Right.
No matter where you are. I would bet that it feels the same no matter where you are, that life is changing and it's moving towards who knows what, right?
Right.
We just have to stay hopeful.
But let's talk about your career, because while the world's doing its thing, you're doing your thing. And we saw some of the photographs, and we're talking about modeling, pageant winning, which is fascinating to me, that you would compete in these pageants and do quite well in them. Very well.
Thank you, Mikey. So let's see. Pageants. It was a fun thing to do. I traveled to China, stayed there for 2 weeks, and brought back a title. So it was a fun thing to do. It was very sort of liberating, very exciting, very much fun to be just doing that over the last, over the 2 weeks that I was there. It was fun to bring back the crown and just enjoy it still now, whenever. I just recently was a judge at a international pageant called Mrs. Golden World Beauty pageant, and so I've been judging here and there because of a title winning. And so it's fun. I've been doing that whenever I can fit it into my modeling and acting career. And acting is something that is obviously primary focus for me right now.
Right.
And yeah, and I've been having a successful modeling career on the side. I've done New York Fashion Weeks and Boston, obviously, Rhode Island, and been in Vogue Italy, Italia. I guess that's what it's called, Vogue Italia magazine. And I have 2 other magazines coming out right now. One of them, I'm on the cover of the magazine, which I cannot yet speak of, but yeah, it's coming out in December at some point. And then I was just had been published in the B magazine and a few other things. So there's a lot happening.
I saw some clips, or I saw the whole short film that you did with a friend of mine, Michael Gonza, and another couple of friends of ours.
Yeah.
Jose Gonzalez, who was the second guest on Messier Mantra, going back a few years, and Mary Beth. I'm trying to remember Mary Beth's last name, but another great actress.
Yeah, I love them both. Great friends and great talents.
Do you remember Mary Beth Paul? Is that her acting name? Right. Yeah. And so the 4 of you are playing 2 couples who've been involved in some wheeling and dealing on the underworld, let's say. I don't want to give away the whole thing, but it was pretty tight little short. And you really, to me, were kind of popping off the screen. And I told Mike, this is...
I was popping off the screen?
Yeah, in a good way. I was in a good way. I was like, this looks good. I mean, because you really had like a really kind of eccentric energy, and you were not the calm, cool, relaxed lady you are right now. You were like kind of manic and underworld people under stress. And I was really pretty impressed with Hold Up was the name of the short film, and then your work in it was really great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It was fun working on the set. It took some time to work on that character because I can't say it's completely foreign to me who I am. In general, obviously, we all have all parts of different characters all within us. So, but I had to sort of work on it and bring it out and just make it more dramatic and just present. So it was a fun character, and it was with me for quite some time after we were done shooting. And I was like, "Go away!
Right.
I'm done with you. I have to go back to normal."
And I also, when I think I first met you, was in an acting workshop weekend.
Yeah,
that I was,
at Strayon.
Yeah, Strayon, and I was what they call it, audit. I just audited. It was I think my birthday weekend, which coincidentally you and I have the same, pretty close. December 4th, babies? December 5th. Yeah. So I went on my birthday weekend, I think 2015, and I saw you. There was about 20 or 25 people in the room. So I see you, and you're like all nice and friendly, and then I look over, and then you're in a scene, but I didn't even recognize it was you because you unglammed is maybe the term. I don't know if that makes any sense, but you kind of went very rough. You know, like in the scene, it was like I don't know if it was a prison scene or something very dark and very edgy.
Was it the scene from The Monster, maybe?
That's what I think it was.
Maybe, because I had to completely transform myself with like trying to hide my eyebrows and just making my hair really greasy and not so pretty. And
we're wearing like kind of sweatpants or something non-flattering. I was like, and then you turn around, and then I turn around, and then another scene was, and you came back. I'm like, well, she's back. Where did she go? I honestly didn't think it was the same person.
It was fun. It was fun. I mean, whenever I do acting, I'm trying to take it as far from myself as possible because I totally believe in the transformation. I don't want to be playing myself or, bringing myself on the set. And all these characters are very different. Even when they are similar to who I am in life, they are still very different. So, it's a lot of work. And what works for me is really the hair and what I'm wearing. That literally transports me into a different space, and it helps me to get into the mind of the character. So I cannot look like this and do that because it's something that works for me. And I figured it out about myself that having a different physical appearance even the voice sometimes, like the smells and all that stuff, helps me to play the character and not myself per se.
Right, because it was pretty amazing. Like I literally didn't recognize you, and it was the same hour, you know, like
Right.
in person, you know. So that was fantastic. So,
Thank you.
And are you continuing to take acting classes, or now you're in New York City and you're kind of commuting between Massachusetts and New York? Is that right?
Well, I reside in New York now.
Okay.
I've moved to New York in January of this year.
Right.
And yes, I am in the acting studio. I'm with Terry Schreiber, and I actually do take training classes with Terry Schreiber himself, who is turning 81 this year.
Wow.
Yeah. So I am really lucky to be in the class with him. He's a student of Michael Howard, who is a student of Stella Adler. So it's one of the, you know, few people that have sort of left behind to do this.
The legacy.
To teach the craft, exactly.
Yeah.
So I feel very honored to be in his class, and I had to go through the audition process. Right around this time last year, actually, as I was planning my move to New York, I was thinking, where do I go? I still have to train, and how do I begin? And so I went to a few different places to audition and get accepted. So I got accepted with Terry, and I was really, really happy and lucky about that. And so I did train there, and I'm also trying to figure out other places where I can train and just diversify a little bit. My traveling between Massachusetts and New York related to the fact that I still have a huge network of people that I know here, and I get hired to do different projects. So, which you know, I have friends like Mary Beth and Jose and Michael Ganza, and I love working with certain people. So I can't say no to those projects yet. And some projects are very fun and you know, fulfilling. So I come back and work to work on those projects and go back to New York. So it's sort of in between the two cities, but I'm trying to make New York my primary sort of place of work and residence. Well, it has been a primary residence for a while now. So
I find New York City, to me, intimidating. Does it intimidate you at all, or no?
No,
It doesn't.
I love New York City.
Okay.
It's I don't know. I just wake up every morning and I just feel lucky to be there. It just feeds me. I feel like it has such a positive energy that pushes you to do things. I never feel sleepy in New York City.
The city that never sleeps. Is it the attitude of New Yorkers to just wake up, hustle, 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 work hard, dedicated, if they're in the arts, to the craft or whatever business, if they're Wall Street people or whatever? Is it just a certain mindset of take no prisoners, go out, take on the Big Apple? Or what is it about New York? Because I'm curious.
I do not know. I can't say I'm hustling per se. It just, the energy of the city is such that it inspires you to do things.
Okay.
I feel inspired to do things in
Yes.
New York. And I don't feel like I'm hustling. Hustling would be struggling with something, right? Pushing towards something.
I kind of like the.
In a way.
It depends on how you.
inspires
I like the
me.
word hustle in a good way, but I mean it depends.
Okay,
It's
well,
one of
I
those
like
words that goes
inspire in
either
a good
ways.
way.
Yeah. It's one of those words.
I'm totally inspired to be in the city and just be surrounded with great energy. People are, in general, more happy in New York. I feel
Really?
like. I find them more happy in New York. Maybe I'm happier in New York, therefore I see everything good in New York.
But it's all about perspective, because what works for one person may not work for the next person. And it's
Yeah.
working for you, and that's
It
the
is
most important
working
thing.
for me.
But if someone wants to be in the business, you know, they talk about film tax credits helping states like Rhode Island, Massachusetts, or Georgia, Atlanta. But at the end of the day, it's L.A., New York, and that's really it. I mean, I don't even know if I would say Chicago, but New York and Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And so
Those are
you've
the
got the
meccas.
right idea. That's the meccas, and everything else may have peaks and valleys, like in Atlanta or Seattle or Portland or even Rhode Island. But I think you're doing the right thing. If you're very career focused and goal oriented, then you've got to be in New York. So good for you.
It was just a calling. I just followed my calling and I just went there and it felt right. And the things started falling together. It just, in my mind, was meant to be.
Any projects coming up further that you can talk about? Anything you want to mention?
I can mention one project that I'm really excited about that I just got the script and I'm going through. It's a true story. I can't speak much of it, but I can say that it's with a director whose last movie was actually for Golden Globes, and it's going to be shot in Europe. Talking about where am I? I don't know. I'm no longer in anywhere in particular.
Right.
You know, it's always somewhere. So it's going to be shot in Europe in 2018, and I'm trying to work through the script. I think I will be traveling to Europe in 2018, April of 2018, to just do the table read of the script. So I have a principal role in it, and it's a feature film, and maybe we'll make the Golden Globes this time around. Who knows?
That's about as good as it gets.
I'm
right there.
really excited about that project, about the part that I'm doing, and it's a true story too, which is very inspiring. And I've actually done just recently. Well, I'm gonna say August. Just finished a play about another, true character. I traveled to Ecuador, as you may know, and we brought back a devised play about this island in Galapagos called Floriana, and I was playing another person that used to exist, I guess, if I don't know how you would put it in the right way, a baronessa of the Floriana, and it's a fascinating story about this island and her story of just getting to the island and the survival and all that fun stuff. So I find that playing real people
Right.
is a lot more responsibility than just fictitious. When you're doing a fiction, then you can come up with your own sort of the background story and all that fun stuff. Whereas when you're playing a true, real person, you have to do a lot of digging, trying to figure out who these people were. So a lot of archives, a lot of documentaries, a lot of things that you have to do. And that makes me, I like to do research.
That's good.
It's part of, my background, I guess, in a way.
As being an actor, doing the research is a big part of it. And I've worked with actors, even friends of mine, that aren't so great about doing the research on the character, and you can even send them a link or send them an article to read and they won't read it. So I'm so refreshed to hear that you do that. You take it so seriously.
That's favorite part of playing the character, doing the research, figuring out where they've lived and how they've lived and what is it possible that they were surrounded with, and just, how did that area smell, look like, the seasons, everything. It's just my thing, time travel, I guess, in a way.
That's an interesting way of putting it. Like acting can be like time traveling because you're playing characters.
Time and place travel.
Right, that's cool. That's great. Do you have a preference of theater or film? Because you mentioned both, and that's refreshing too to hear that you're doing both live theater acting and film acting. Because a lot of people that I encounter, they say they want to be an actor, but they just want to be famous, But you're doing the real deal.
No, I'm totally doing this. This play was off Broadway at the Theater Raw in New York, and we played for 2 weeks, 2 shows a day. It was exhausting, but it was so rewarding, so rewarding. And I love theater. It's obviously very different. Every day felt different, depending on the audience and the energy that you had received from the audience. Every time it felt completely different, playing the same character, same story, same everything. And it was interesting. And I do like film because maybe of its lasting effect in a way.
Right.
And I've done modeling, so I do like being in front of the camera. I'm not ashamed to say that.
Sure, well that helps with your business. Sure.
So they're very different in a way, and very good in different ways, and I enjoy both. I really enjoy both. If I'm working too much on film, then I have this desire to go back into theater, and if it's too much theater, I have the desire to go back in front of the camera. So, I like to balance.
That's great.
If possible at all.
Is there
Not always possible, but.
Is there any actors that you would love to work with, actors, female or male? Like, do you have any dream scenarios, or just like, wow, I'd love to, for me, Denzel Washington, Nicole Kidman. I mean, But do you have anyone that say, wow, before, you know?
Well, Daniel Day-Lewis is
Okay.
my favorite, absolute favorite. I've just exhausted watching his movies and just the complete transformation between his. In some movies, I do not recognize him.
There Will Be
I
Blood was
can't-
so vicious
I
compared to The
can't-
Last Mohicans. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't. I mean, I can't even say it's the same actor until I'm like, oh, that's him. He's fascinating. His work to me is so absolutely fascinating. But it's a big wish. But who knows, right?
I thought I read an article that he retired from acting, so you have to get him out of retirement. So Daniel Day-Lewis, if you're watching the Messier Mantra, Nario's going to do a scene with you.
That would be awesome. But
Yeah,
who knows?
My Left Foot, Last of the Mohicans, yeah. Just
The Gangs of New York.
Right, Gangs of New York, yeah.
He's just so different. I love it. He's so committed to the craft. That's what it is. You just have to be so committed to everything you do, and it happens.
And The Name of the Father, I think, was him too. Do you speak more than one language? I thought I heard that you spoke like 6 languages, 5 or 6 languages. Is that
5 or 6. That's
somebody told me you spoke 5 or 6.
No, I only speak 3 fluently. I understand some other languages, but.
Let him think 5 or 6. You know what I mean?
Maybe one day. Hey.
What languages do you speak?
Armenian and Russian.
That's great.
Besides English.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, that's. Because we live in a society where people have a hard time with just their own language. And that's not an insult, it's just a statement of fact. People with the colloquialisms or the misspellings. I mean, you look on social media and people are trying to make a point, but they're just the horrible spellings of words. And but to hear that you've got 3 languages, that's great.
I pay attention. I can't say, it's interesting. There are days when it comes easy, certain languages, and then there are days when I lose all 3. It's strange, like mind tricks. So, but it helps to speak 3 languages sometimes.
What do you Messier mantra? We ask the guests if you have a mantra, if you have a slogan or a work ethic or an expression or a phrase or a quote, either from yourself or from someone.
From myself.
Do you have a mantra you want to share with us?
I believe in inspiring. I think that's a moving force of life, honestly. I don't know any quotes that relate to it, but I've just noticed that what inspires me, what wakes me up every morning is really if I'm inspired and I'm able to inspire others. And it's interesting, my audience, as it expands with the followers, I find a lot of women reaching out to me and saying just thank you for just, I guess, leading them towards something where they feel inspired to get up and get dressed up and be ready for life and face the struggles that they're facing. And it's very rewarding that I get a lot of these messages coming from women. And so just being able to live your life and inspire by doing that others, I think it's very rewarding to me. And so I do believe in inspiration in life. And I feel like without inspiration, you cannot create, especially when you're in the art field. But in any field, I mean, what gets us up in the morning?
Yeah.
Right?
That's a good point. And some days can be a challenge for people to find that inspiration to move forward,
Right.
when times are tough, especially.
Yeah. With the winter, especially when it gets dark at 4:30 in the morning or at
God.
night.
Yeah, right.
Forget about the morning.
Yeah, right. No, I know what you mean. And then
You have to find the inspiration wherever you can, I guess, right?
What type of goals do you have moving forward?
Well, I have short-term goals. I have long-term goals too, but I have short-term goals because moving to New York showed me a few different things that I have to do in terms of my career versus when I was in Massachusetts pursuing it. And it's all about, packaging yourself up in a way where, you have to have your reel ready and your website and your portfolio has to be different in a way where they would only look at the pictures that are taken in New York by New York photographers.
Really? There is a difference.
Yes, they're very tough on this.
They can see it? These casting directors
absolutely.
can tell? Okay.
Absolutely. The headshots, they have to be New York headshots. Yeah. So I've been spending some time now trying to put all that together. And I'm getting very close, getting everything done and set and ready. So that's my short-term goal. And then getting myself a manager and an agent in New York is another short-term goal.
I was just about to ask if you had one. I would have thought that you did, but
I have agents and managers here in Massachusetts and Rhode Island.
right.
But I have chosen not to jump on anyone's boat yet until I have figured New York out in a way where I know who I want to be signed with, who I do not want to be signed with. I want to be selective about it, and that's why I felt like taking my time and not rushing into it made sense to me. So I've only been in New York not even a year.
Right.
So I decided that I'm gonna get myself ready, package it all up, and then so that I have choices.
If someone,
I like having choices.
yeah, you got to, and I like how you're basically empowering yourself because you're not, you know that you have worth and talent and skills for all these aspects, modeling, acting, and so why not, let them come to you a little bit or meet you halfway.
Yeah.
If someone out there in New York City sees our episode, because the show we shared on Vimeo, YouTube, everything,
Yeah.
And they wanted to contact you regarding working with you on a project or representing you, what's the best way to find you? Is it through Facebook or?
Well, I'm on social media. I have a public page called NAIRA Zakariyan.
Okay.
And my website is soon going to be published, which is also NAIRAZakarian.com. I'm on Instagram as NAIRA Zakariyan. I'm on YouTube as NAIRA Zakariyan. So I'm in a lot of different places. And I also have an email. I can share it here.
If you want, you can do that.
It's aleedah@gmail.com, AHLEEDAH@gmail.com.
All right, great. Because we want to make sure that people, for professional reasons only, folks, no.
That's why I'm not giving out my number.
Yeah, right. I understand.
Stay
I have
away
the same
from that.
problem. Well, this has been fantastic. I've enjoyed having you on the show, and it's just great to see you. Hard work is paying off. Because, like I said, it was almost 3 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, that I saw you in that acting. Playing Eileen, I think is the name of the character in Monster.
Yeah.
And I just. Like I said, I was like, wait, there she is. Wait, who's that? And I've been around, so I was really fooled. Like, you got me,
And then
because
the hold up.
Yeah, I hold up. I like a lot. Yeah, I think
I had my hair different too, in a little black bob.
Yeah, I think that's a great look too.
Yeah.
But so thank you so much for coming on Messier Mantra. We just have a few seconds. Any parting words you'd like to say to the audience?
No, thank you so much for having me here. I really enjoyed being here.
No, I'm going to try it one more time. NAIRA?
It's NAIRA Zakariyan.
Zakariyan.
There you go.
Was that close? Was that decent?
Good.
All right.
But the next time we have the second show, you'll get it.
I'm going to have to train. But it's fantastic to have you on the show, and thank you so much for coming out.
Thank you, Mikey.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks for watching this episode of Messier Mantra. We'll see you next time.